Okay, for this video we're installing XPel armor protection for the Volt. So we're talking about the sides and the back panel. I don't know if you can see it now, but you'll know if you have a Cybertruck that the panels never look great. No matter what you do to them, no matter how you treat them, they just look kind of weathered and washed out. So this adds protection, but it really lifts the texture as well. It looks amazing. I'll flash up some pictures now, kind of showing you how it looks once it's installed. In terms of installation, I'll kind of rate it medium, easy, medium. Please do watch the video, use the chapter markers to jump to the section you need. Each piece has its own little nuance and technique that it'll just be much easier if you watch that. So I'll try and be quick, but this is, I would allow probably an hour or so to complete this project. For the video, we're just going to do one of the sides and then the back, and then maybe I'll speed through this side. So one thing to note is these pieces here, the so-called triangular pieces that go up here above the L-track, they're optional, so you can either order with or without. The reason for that is if you have a moly panel or something like that you don't want to remove or you're not so worried about, like we do on that side, then you don't really need these pieces. But that's what's in the box. You get all the pieces underneath, the back panels as well, and then you get a squeegee, and you get a link to this video basically and kind of the layout. Now, each piece is labeled A through M, I think. So, and that's intentional. So install these in alphabetical order. It kind of takes the easier pieces first, but there's also logic to the installation order, so please do that. And then in terms of surface prep, the best thing you can get is just standard isopropyl alcohol. You're going to get through quite a lot of it. These are big panels, so I'll link this as well. We just get this from Amazon like once a month on a subscription because we use a lot of it. But this is well worth having, especially if you try to treat these panels with any of the usual plastic treatments. You know that they don't work, but it does still kind of absorb it. It absorbs the wax and the oil, and we want to get rid of that before we install these pieces. All right, with all of that said, we're going to get started. We're going to start on the back. And then we'll do this side for the video just because you have the additional little complication of the outlets just here. Okay, I forgot to mention in the what's in the box video, but you're going to be kneeling a lot, so get a kneeling pad of some sort. It helps a lot. So going to surface prep this. Obviously we're going to do all of the panels the same way. I'm going to show it in detail for this one. So using isopropyl 70%. Just really give it a good spray. Now the objective with this is to get surface contaminants off. It's not to get it kind of, immaculately clean. It's just not that kind of surface, and you don't need to because this material is very forgiving. So although Armour calls it a PPF, it's not PPF in the traditional sense that you would associate with the stuff that goes on bodywork. But we just want to make sure that most of the waxes and anything else either that you may have used or even from the factory removed, so that we get good strong adhesion that's not going to go anywhere. And you can see even with something like this, it just takes it really poorly. It's the weirdest material. But it doesn't need to look good when you've done it. You're still going to have these water stains and everything else. As I say, the main thing is just to make sure you've got most of the stuff that's contaminating the surface off. Okay, so this is going to be your sort of workbench for this project. You can see I've got this mislabeled. This is section, so we're going to go A, B, C. This should be an A, not a C, so ignore that. There you go, kind of an A. We're going to start from the bottom, work our way up to the top. These are big, sort of very symmetrical, fairly easy pieces, but you do need to get down into the corners on each side. So I've got my meta glasses to get a bit of a close-up. So let's get going. I'm going to fully remove this piece. Okay, you want to be careful that it doesn't stick to itself, of course. So I'm going to hold it like this. Stick your sides out. I'm going to get down in this corner. And then I know these angles are going to be weird, but what I'm looking at is just kind of to place it so it's pretty close to the edge. You know, every piece you have what I call sort of a breathing gap there, so you want to be able to just see a little bit of the original trim. This product expands and contracts depending on temperature as well, so we just kind of want good symmetry all the way around. And now I'm going to use my right hand to sort of steer it along this crease here. So for now, just tap it into place, because we want to make sure it's pretty well centered on both ends. So we're just kind of securing this top area first. Then we're going to come over here. And that is pretty good. So you can see that we've got a little gap at this end, little gap at this end, but they're the same. So that's what we're aiming for. Then we're going to grab our squeegee. And we're just going to, first of all, work our way along. And then go the other way. So you can see I picked up a little bit of a air bubble there, but that's fine. We're just going to work it out to the end. And then kind of just work sort of zigzag motions up and down. Like so. So that was the easy piece. Now we're going to do this larger piece, which is B, which is this big panel here. Okay, same thing, I'm going to remove it completely from the backer. Again, very big piece, so be a little careful with it. And then we'll lift it away. Okay, so this technique is really the same as the first piece we did. We're going to line it up across the top, and then we'll get everything else kind of squared away. So once again, getting into this corner, fairly tight. That looks pretty good. And again, we're going below this roll over here. Let's do that again. There's a lot of weight to this piece, so it's wanting to fall off. Okay, and then you can see I've managed to stick it to itself over here, but we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to peel it back. So again, it's a very, very forgiving material, so I'm going to show you all the mistakes I make, so you don't need to worry if you do the same thing. Coming along here, steer it a little bit if you need to. It's looking good. And then I've got this molly panel in the way over here. I should have removed that before the video, but we can see enough just there. So to me that looks pretty even on both sides. So now we're going to work our way center and then across. So grab your squeegee. Let's get it anchored in the middle here. And then just kind of go either way, but left and right. Go this way too. And you can see down here, this is nice and symmetrical on this little bend, so that's looking good. And then tuck it in up here. Fluff there. Same up here. So all that crackling you can hear, that's just me working out any air bubbles that are trapped. Take a look at it from different angles. Make sure there's nothing underneath there. Squeegee it for longer than I have as well. Go in all kinds of different directions, just to make sure you got all of the air bubbles out. Now if you don't, or if you notice it a little bit too late, you've got actually a couple of weeks to take care of any issues. You can just peel this back and reapply it, so no big deal at all. If you have the option, try and park it in the sun, get some heat on it. It softens the adhesive, makes it much easier to remove. does also make the material a bit more stretchy as well, which you may or may not want, but certainly just having it warmed up a little bit makes it easier to put it away. Excellent. Okay, last piece for here is this section here, which is section C. I'm going to grab that. This is pretty much the same as the first section, section A, just wider. And this is the bit that rolls over. So for this one, we're going to, again, get it close to this edge. That's looking good. And you want it completely flush with this edge here, okay? And then, so I'm going to use sort of my fingertips just to work it down, you know, by touch, so that we're not going too far over, but equally we're right up against the edge. Excellent. Grab your squeegee. Put a bit of pressure on this. We really want to make sure we've got all of the air bubbles out. Whenever you're doing a wraparound, this is where the air gets trapped. So, you know, be very diligent on this piece. Okay, and then using the palm of your hand, if you can, just kind of encourage that roll. You know, doing this adds a little bit of heat to the material, so it makes it more malleable. It sort of encourages it to roll over the edge, and then it means you're not getting any air trapped as well. And then same thing, we're going to start in the middle, but pay attention to the top piece, or the top, you know, where it rolls over, and then kind of go at this with a sort of 45-degree swipe. So you're moving the air and finalising the application at the same time. You see I've got some trapped air here, so we're just going to peel this back. Release it, bring it back down. Keep swiping away at it. That's good. Same thing at this end. You can use your other hand to sort of pull it down a little bit as well. Into the corner. So as you run across it like this, listen for any sort of areas where it's not stuck down properly, but that actually seems pretty good. So there you go, that's the back panel done. We're going to start over here now. So now we're going to do this section. As a reminder, this is optional, so if you have the molly panel installed like we do, this is something we sell, of course. You may not want to do this section, but we're going to go ahead and do it. So this is section I on the driver's side. We also sell the cleats, the bottle openers, the D-rings, everything. So unlike the other pieces we've done so far, we're going to use the backer to kind of help us as we go. So I've already cut this out. This will be on a two-piece section when you get it. So we're going to peel it back here. And then we're just going to put a hard fold on the backing sheet, and we're going to get this piece lined up first. So we're going to kind of just sort of present it, steer it a little bit, but you can see how this is going, hopefully. There we go. Just bring that over a little tiny bit. Gee, let's go again. We want it fairly close to the edge, but again, we're looking for that symmetry. That looks pretty good right there. Okay, so just kind of apply a little bit of pressure, and we're going to peel the backer back about, I don't know, halfway-ish. Now the alignment we're looking for, forget about this area for now. We're coming down here to the top of the L track. We want to be just above the this roll here. So that's what we're looking for. So we'll figure out the top in a minute, because this is variable. This trim piece here, or this weather seal here, moves, and it's going to be different on different trucks. So we're going to tuck underneath that if we need to. Come back a bit further. If you feel like you're fighting it a little bit to get it lined up, as I feel like I am here, I may have put a bit of stress into it that doesn't need to be there. We can come back and fix that in a second, but let's just get the piece on the truck and away from any potential contamination on the truck bed or whatever. And then up here, if you find you need to, just sort of give it a little pull to get it to the end. That's the beauty of this material, it's quite flexible. I'm installing this, it's quite chilly today, so not much give in the material in terms of what the temperature is giving us, but you can see that places nicely. Okay, we're going to squeegee it starting at this end. Let's work our way up a little bit as well. Let's just release that from the weather strip for a second. There we go. Work our way down. Okay, so I'm very happy with the position of this. So you can see in some areas, let's kill that mosquito, in some areas it's kind of aligned to the weather strip, in other areas it's a little bit above it. So all we're going to do is just lift this up a little bit and just finalise the install that way. And then if the weather strip wants to kind of sit over the top of it, that's fine as well. It's just going to depend on your truck build, as you know, as you probably know. You know, there's a certain amount of tolerance in Tesla's builds, and they like to make the most of it. So your experience here is probably going to be different to mine, but you can see that it just happily sits over the top, and if you need to, just use a squeegee just to kind of bring it back down over, just like that. And there you go, that's that section done. Now we're going to move on to this piece, these pieces here. We're going to start up here. Obviously both sides of the truck are a mirror. The one exception is this because of the door. So that's why we're doing this side for the video. So we're going to start with the door. This is kind of a gimme because it's pretty easy. Let's just peel that back and get it placed. Again, you can still steer it so that it's, you know, oops, nice and square on the door. Like so. Squeegee that. Okay. As before, I've prepped the surface, so we're ready to go. So please be careful when peeling this back. There's a couple of cuts here that if you're not careful will either stretch or just kind of rip on these little corners. So let's peel it back from the top. And then kind of peel it back from down here. All right, and then we're going to start our alignment on this top corner here, like so. Just gently tack it, and then we're going to come down this edge first. So make sure it's detached from any other area. It almost sat perfectly just then, but there we go. So put a little bit of tension on it, just to get it sitting in the right spot. And then coming this way, same thing, just sort of, you know, we're not putting much tension on it at all, but we're looking for various alignment points. So we want to make sure it's aligned around the door, and then make sure it's aligned on this edge and then on this fold here, which it is. So let's finalize this top section, bring this down. Be a little careful on this little skinny bit, and same down here. Just gently push that home. And then maybe just peel that back, and then we're just going to come down here like that. Like so. And then this piece here, you can just roll that in like that. So you can see you've got the whole area protected, door obviously still opens fine. Looks great. Okay, so moving on to K, which is sort of this section here. And the reason we kind of did it into these 3 sections here, so it was just unmanageable to do a full piece. So this angle here aligns with this one, so the symmetry is there. It looks good when it's installed. And this gap here is what you're aiming for when it's on the panel as well. So that's sort of 6 or 7 millimeters. I don't know what that is in inches, I'm sorry, but you know, you can eyeball it. You obviously don't need to measure it, but that's what you're aiming for. And then one important thing, this looks like a pretty much symmetrical parallelogram. It is not. So if you peel it up from here and you kind of lose track of where you're at, this rounded corner just here is the one that goes here. Okay, so if you've got a sharp corner, you've got it the wrong way around. So that's what you're aiming for. Before I peel this back, for all 3 of these pieces, we're going to be aligning to this roll here, or this fold here. So this will be exposed, same as it is up here. So I'm going to peel this back. And then we're going to place it up here. So again, sort of steering it with your other hand. And we're looking for that sort of little sort of gap. And we're going to place that. And then grab your squeegee, work it down. Now I'm a little high over here. It shouldn't be that far off the bottom. You want a little gap, kind of like it is there and like it is there on that piece, but that's a bit high. And if I roll my finger over here, I'm just kind of catching that edge just a little bit. So I'm going to pull this back. And just do that again, just make sure that I'm slightly better lined up. Just got a little high on that piece there. That should be better. Okay, try again. These big flat pieces are so easy to install. And there you go. So hopefully you can see now that looks right. So tiny difference up here. I mean, you can barely see it. It wouldn't have been the end of the world, but if you want to get it perfect, you're going to have to peel it back sometimes and try again. Okay, section K next. So this is the piece that fits sort of into this triangle. A couple of alignment points. As always, we're going to be tracking across this line here. And then this tip here aligns with the corner just there. So just a couple of things to help. Peel it back. And then remember, we're sort of trying to replicate the gap we saw on the backing sheet. So I'm just going to apply a little pressure there. Let's get this locked in. It's quite a big piece. I'm too high. You can feel it just a little bit. Obviously we want to be the same height as its neighbour, just here. And then bring this along just a little bit. Now I'm just going to grab my squeegee. Just lock it in a little bit over here. We may end up removing it again, but we just want to make sure that it's not going to fall down while we sort of pull on this now to get to the end. So again, steering with my right hand, looking at that top line always across here. That's looking good. And then up here, you can see we're in exactly the right spot. So this piece is good. Work down the middle first. And just squeegee everything out. You can see I've got lots of trapped air, but that'll work itself out easily. There you go, looking good. So last piece for this side, piece M. I don't know if I got an L there. It's definitely piece M. Where's my little instruction sheet? Yes, we're on piece M now. So L was this centre piece here. J, K. So J, K, L, and then M. Sorry about my letters. This is the very last thing I do before we finalise the design. So it's sort of a moving target until it's done. Okay, so I've got this unstuck. I'm using this backing sheet now to protect from any grub and anything else that's going to be underneath on the truck bed itself. I'm just going to slide it this way a little bit. For this one, you've got no choice but to kind of really get into the corner with your eyes. So I'm going to reposition things a little bit. Okay, so our alignment points here are going to be the latch here, and then obviously this corner here. So let's grab this piece. Again, using this backing sheet as sort of a work surface that's clean. And then, because it's kind of rigid, you can just kind of slide it into the right spot. Ooh, almost got it first time then. But looking at the, look at that, it looks pretty good. So looking at this corner here, this area here of course, and then this bottom edge here. So that's looking pretty good, I think. But looking up here, I'm too far over. So, and you can see if I carried on down here, it's going to be way high. So I need to adjust that. Let's try again. This time I'm just going to sort of steer it with my hand. I know these angles are going to be wild when I finish this video, but hopefully you can see what I'm up to. And then looking at this bottom edge, so we want to make sure it's tracking to the sort of the corner, which it is. Grab my squeegee. So I've got some bagginess here, and that's not going to work its way out, so I'm going to have to just pull this back again just to release that. This is tension, what we call tension in the material, and it's not a good thing to have. You could probably figure it out, you know, just by squeegeeing it relentlessly, but it's always going to be there, and eventually it's going to bubble up. So it doesn't need to be there, is what I'm trying to say. So you can see now, look at that, that's laying much better. Didn't change anything, just kind of repositioned it to where it should be everywhere. Squeegee, squeegee. And there you have it. So that is how you install the Volt panel protectors for Cybertruck. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side here now. Probably not going to do this piece because I can't be bothered to remove the molly panel. But as you can see, it's quite an easy project once you get started. Thanks. Okay, I wasn't going to record this side because it's kind of a mirror image of the other side, but just in case I get some better angles, because I know it's a little difficult to watch, I'm going to do this side quickly as well. I've removed the molly panel. Let's get rid of that. Okay, and we're going to start with the upper triangle again, section D. I prep the surface. So if you remember, we used the backer to help us with this piece because we can kind of, it's rigid enough that you can kind of slide it into place. Watch your head on the trim. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Peel it back some more. We're looking to align to this edge here, just above the light strip. A bit further. Oops, getting a bit high, so we're going to steer that a little bit. There we go. And then this end, let's just pull that to where it needs to be. So a little bit of tension. I'm trying not to hold on to the sort of tippity tip just because, you know, that bit's obviously quite vulnerable in terms of losing its adhesion if we contaminate it. So let's not do that. But as you can see, hopefully we're tracking nicely to that area. Let me find my squeegee. Just work our way up. So a little bit of tension here. I'm going to actually just pull this back and release it that way rather than just kind of trying to squeegee it out. Let's get under there. There we go. Go the other way. And then, as before, this trim piece, you know, it's got some variability to it, so we're just going to squeegee it underneath. If you need to, you might not need to. And there you go, so that's that piece done. Now we're quickly going to do these pieces down here. Okay, so this lower section, sections E, F, G and H. So these sections here. We're going to start with E. Once again, we're going to line up here first and do this kind of edge. So get that in the right spot. And then just sort of steer it down here. Let's get that hook down. And then if you've got this edge correct, it's going to come around the hook nicely. You can see the contrast in the colour, sort of washed out crappy grey versus this. So let me finalise down here. So we know we're good down here. We're just on the bottom of on the corner there. Looking good all around here. Looking good on this edge. But we have this here. Again, this is tension. It would squeegee out, but I don't want to. I'm just going to peel it back, and then just kind of work it up like that. Okay, moving on to the next section. F. Don't forget, if you lose track of where you are on this shape, this rounded corner is, in this case, the top right. And it's going to be the first corner we apply. So I'm going quicker for this one because you've already seen all of this. So do take your time, more than I am. Okay, so I've kind of tacked this top edge in. Gonna peel that back again, just to sort of let it sit and lay naturally where it needs to be. Looking good. So once again, looking at your alignment points, you want this gap to be more or less the same, and then you want this edge here. You don't want to feel it when you roll your fingers over. And then down here you want it sort of quite into the corner, but expect to have, you know, a very small gap as well. Okay, section G. Big inverted triangle. So, got some static thing out here today, it's very dry. So lining up this top edge, taking some time there, oops. And then steering it with my left hand, just to kind of track across this line, and getting into this corner, you want it to be there. Okay, so if that's good, apply a little pressure along this top edge. Unstick that, make sure you're not trapping any air, and then just let that sort of lie down naturally. Nice little dog hair there. And then we're just going to go down the centre and then work our way out. Very nice. And then last section, section H. This is the one where you really do need to get down on your side to get this corner lined up. I'm kind of just trying to float it into the right spot like that. I think. Okay, I think that's good. Looking up here, that's looking good. We will take that, get the squeegee. And you can see without doing anything, it's basically sat in exactly the right spot. So we know we're really good for this. And there you have it. Took no time at all. That is your Volt panel protectors by XPel Armour for your Cybertruck. Thank you for watching.